So this is the new Rolls-Royce Spectre. Hang on. Much better, right? Okay, so this, like I was saying, is the Rolls-Royce Spectre. It's massive, it's luxurious, it's comfortable, it's elegant, it's spectacular. So here's the thing about electric cars. I've reviewed a lot of them on this channel. And every time I've reviewed something like an Audi e-tron GT, the comments I get is people will talk about why doesn't it have a V8 engine or something like that. It'll be much better. But this is probably the first time I've reviewed a car, I've driven an electric car, and it just makes sense. It's quieter inside, it glides. Honestly, I think this is probably a good thing, being electric for Rolls-Royce. See, the thing I love about Rolls-Royce in general, particularly the Spectre, is the fact that you can spec this up to your heart's content. The colors, even the Spirit of Ecstasy on the front, you can even change that color, you can have that illuminated on the background. You can do so much more. When we get on the inside, we'll talk more about what you can actually spec on this. But let's talk about the front of the car because it's actually very spectacular. I keep using that word because it's now stuck in my head. So we get this large grille here, which has been particularly designed or angled in a way that allows the lights on the background to shine in a nice, subtle way. So it's not going to be blinding to the other road users, which is pretty cool. Then you got the Rolls-Royce badge there, Spirit of Ecstasy is there, which I also said already, you can customize this. But what they've done with this is basically allow this to lean forward just a bit more to allow for better aerodynamic. So the drag coefficient on this is the best you can get on any of the Rolls-Royce. We're talking 0.25 drag coefficient on this one. It's kind of high to the ground as well. You can see I'm 5'11", so you can see it's right by my waist. So this is kind of a tall car. It's large, it's long, it's wide, and I love it. I think it's just about right. Then we get this day running lights area here, nice and slim profile, the lights here as well. Again, just Rolls-Royce design DNA all over the car. It just looks absolutely fantastic. If you see this in your head mirror, you're gonna know this is luxury. It's no slacker. But here's the thing. The way that they've designed the whole thing means that it's just nice and subtle. There's no drastic creases or angles or anything like that. So it allows it to cut through air, but at the same time, it just makes it look more elegant. Talking about customization, even the key fob head I've got, you can customize this area as well. So this color here, you can change it to different colors if you're willing to pay for it. But that's entirely up to you. And then over on the side, let's start with the tires. These are big alloys here and designed as well to be aerodynamically friendly. And also you can change different alloy designs as you wish on the website. So when you start building your own, you can do that as well. These are Pirelli P0s and 23-inch alloys. We're talking 255 40 R23. And as always, we have the double R logo that sits upright at all times, even when the tire is rotated, which is absolutely amazing. We've got big disc brakes there to stop this mammoth of a car, which honestly that makes so much sense. And then moving along, we've got the coach line here, which is, I believe, and painted all the way down to the side of the car. Again, that's something that you pay extra for and you can spec on the car, which I kind of like. And then we've got the Rolls-Royce badge there as well. And then moving on to this side, we get this big mirror. And surprisingly, it doesn't affect the drag coefficient too much and it doesn't add too much road noise or wind noise. And if I just unlock the car, and you can see this door handle, again, it's the longest I've probably ever seen on any car. And then just a little tug, and then the car does the rest of the car opening for you. It stops just ever so slightly, and then you can open it a bit wider. And you can see it opens with a hinge backwards as well. So, and then you can see some of this lighting here, the ambient lighting system here. It's got an official name for it, by the way. But this included in this, and it's the first time they've actually done that on a door card, which I think looks absolutely fantastic, especially at night time. It looks brilliant. You can control how bright it is. You can control if you just want it to be a welcome light. You can control different settings for this, which I'll show you when we look at the infotainment system. And over here we have Spectre logo on there, which is illuminated on this spec. You can also spec it not to be illuminated. Obviously you got your seat control there, but we'll come back to that in a second because we still have our signature umbrella in here. Rolls-Royce umbrella, looks so cool with the logo and everything on it. You can also spec this up to match the color of the car as well if you want to do that. But I think this is just a typical black one, but it looks so slick. It's just something about the design of the car in every way. It's so meticulous in the way that they've thought about everything. So we'll pop that back into place. And then you get that satisfying click as soon as you put it in. Also, to close the car door, you can step in, put your foot on the brake, and the door closes. Or there's also a couple of buttons there to control that. But in the meantime, we just push it ever so slightly back, and it does a soft close for you as well. It's basically your own personal chauffeur. You don't have to worry about opening or closing your door by yourself. And then we move over to the back here. We get 295 35 R23 alloys or tires on the back there. So it's slightly bigger than the front one, which rightfully so makes so much sense because of the bigger motor. It's basically all-wheel drive. We've got motors planted on the back and some on the front as well. The battery's mounted just below there, which allows for better center of gravity. And believe me or not, this actually has 50-50 split of weight distribution, which is kind of amazing how they've managed to do that. And even the battery technology there is actually built in a way to allow for better acoustic as well whilst driving on the road. And then over here, we have the charger. So we have AC, DC charging. One of the things is with the architecture on this, it's only 400 volts, which means you don't get that super fast 800 volt architecture in here, but it's still kind of fast though, so you can still get AC, DC charging if you wish to do so. You can charge at home or you can charge at fast charging stations if you wish to do so. It's got an amazing stance, whether it's the side profile, I love that swooping back. It just gives it a nice sporty look to it, and you get that bold stance on the front. And also, the doors have no pillars and it just looks really cool. Honestly, I love this car. And then we move over to the back, we got the tail lights, and what they've done here is keep the tail lights the same on every Rolls-Royce Spectre, because people will spec this up in various colors, but they still want to keep that signature look on the back of the car with the double R badge on there as well. Looks really cool, very, very luxurious looking, very elegant and subtle. I just love the way that they've designed that. And then we pop open the boot to see what space we have. And surprisingly, it actually has a decent amount of boot space here. We're talking 380 liters of boot space. And then also we get this nice soft carpet material in here. It feels nice and soft. It looks so good in here. Here's the thing as well, you can customize the color of this interior area here. So this is black at the moment, but if you want a different color, you can also select something different. And then underneath here, we have underfloor space, so you can store your charger cable. So again, that's what I thought through. We don't have a frunk on this, so this is where you need to put your charging cable. But I assume people that will have this car will have a charging port at home, so they probably would never use the charging cable in there. So that's it, and that's a electronically controlled boot as well, which is really cool. But I think overall, absolutely amazing design. It's just elegant. I love this color as well. And the size of the wheels doesn't bother me at all. I think it suits the car very well. And it's just an amazing car in terms of the way that they've designed it. But it doesn't stop there. The interior is also so luxurious. Let's have a look. First thing first, the passenger also gets an umbrella, which I think is kind of cool. So you can both be rocking the umbrella as you go to your function in your tuxedo and a dress, whatever it is. Pretty nice. Let's pop that back in. Hear the click. Oh, so satisfying. And then you sit inside the car and you just feel like royalty because it's so luxurious in here. This is probably the most comfortable chair that I've sat on, full stop. It's just so comfortable. The armrest is there. Underneath that, you can store things. You've got 2 USB-C ports there to charge your phone. You got all this material, all this leather, fine leather material, the stitching that's in there as well. And then here, you can reveal 2 cup holders there. I love these dials for controlling the temperature as well, which pays homage to, you know, the history of Rolls-Royce. And I love the dial. It's not complicated. It's nice and simple in when you select. You got off, soft, medium, or you can have max. And you even get heated seats as well for both passengers. So there's a button here. Again, just nice and minimalist and simple. And also, we get this choke. It's probably got a different name for it, so don't crucify me for this, but I just like the way you release that. So that activates the ventilation system here. So again, just the airflow, so you can stop it or open it up. But what you can also notice is this sound here. Oh, it's metal and it's just really nice. It just screams premium. And also, the back passenger can get some air by just open the back window, and then there's no pillars here. It's just nice and seamless. Honestly, the way that they've thought about the design of this is just amazing. The materials and everything. And also, 1 second. Sorry, Rolls-Royce, but look at this. It's sheep wool. I feel that it's just so soft. Oh, I could put my face on it, but I don't know who else has put their feet on it already, but you could probably put your face on it and it's just nice and comfortable. Overall back here, for someone who's 5'10", 11-ish, it's just nice and comfortable. The Look at the angle of my knees as well. They're just perfect. It's not too raised up high. It's not too low. I got plenty of space to tuck in my feet. Then over the top here, we've got the starlights. And what they've added to this as well is shooting stars. So every now and then just get random stars that just shoot across every now and then. So you might just make a wish to have another one of these every time that happens. But you can also turn it off if you don't want it there as well. So again, they give you that option to make sure it's just how you want the environment to be inside of the car. I've taken people in the back of this and they love it. So before I talk about the cabin here, to match that velvet orchid color on the outside, we have this lovely material here. So we're talking primary is seashell, the secondary colors is moccasin, and then we get a peony pink added to it as well. So all in that mix, it just looks really good all together. It's a nice color for the interior. It's nice and subtle, so it adds to that serenity that you get in it. And then over on the side, I added this nice premium finish. It's not all the time I like wood inside a car, but this looks really good. This is open pore Palado, and it's just nicely finished. I really love that. And then we get this analog clock here, which suits the nature of the car, nice and classic. And then we get the Spectre logo here and the stars. I think there's around 1,500 or so stars there that kind of lights up as well at nighttime. And I think it just looks really nice and subtle, really cool. Matches the rest of the car, the look of the car. And then over here again, we get the metals. It's just so premium. And then what I love about here is how minimal all this area is. But before we carry on, let's come back here and talk about what happens when you get in the car. So you've got inside your car, you're ready to go. You have a couple of buttons here to control the door if you wish to do so. But what you don't have to do is close that door manually by yourself. So all you have to do is put your foot down on the brake. And just like that, the door closes. So again, your own chauffeur. You don't have to do anything manually, you know, don't raise a finger and you're good to go. Just really lovely. But yeah, you get some chrome finishes here and there, and you got bespoke speakers in this particular car, and it just sounds absolutely fantastic as well. I've been changing the settings and all that kind of stuff. But let's switch the camera over, because then we can actually take a look at this from a different angle and talk about some of these buttons and just how minimal this area is. So here we have the infotainment system, which supports Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, but generally this is just a subtly customized BMW operating system there. So it works really well. I like the blend of your Apple CarPlay apps and the apps that are built into the actual system as well. You can change various settings on here. So if I press this, first of all, you can see the main screen there, which you can scroll across, nice and responsive. And you even have your consumption there. So at the moment I'm getting 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour. You do the maths. And then if I press this, again, you see all the apps and what you can do with it in terms of system settings, interior lighting, and so on. Once we're there, so let me use the dial here, which is actually quite nifty, because that way you can concentrate on driving and not, you know, touching things at the same time. You can just use the dial to control things as well. So we have Rolls-Royce ID, you have personal assistant, so you can ask questions, for example, where's the nearest charging station? You get your charging info, so pressing charging info, you can see the target, you can unlock the charging cable, you can do preconditioning, and so on and so forth. You can slide back or push it to the left to go back, and then you got climate control, but there's not much option here in terms of the climate control option. You got air quality, so you can do fresh air or recycled air. You got things like your seat heating distribution for the front passenger, the second row, and also the driver. But that's just about it in terms of climate control settings on here. That's some of the stuff that's been taken out because everything else is controlled down here. And then you got your display settings, doors and windows, driver settings, exterior lighting. But let's look at the interior lighting settings, because this is where you can do things like your reading light and ambient light settings. So you can turn that on and off. You got different light colors, mainly cool white and warm white, so not many options available there. But I think you can also spec this to give you more as well, but don't quote me on that. But that's how simple and minimalist this thing is. And then you got things like your connection for mirroring, seat comfort, and so on. There's no massage on this, but you can also spec it to have seat massage system in there. But basically, just nice and minimalist and simple, which I quite like. And then over here, we've got a dial here to control volume. For example, a media, you can mute it by pressing that. You got your door lock button there, as I'd liked. One thing that's cool here, though, is if you look on here, it's just got the numbers. You can customize what they're attached to, but it doesn't tell you what they are. But if you slightly put your finger on top of it, over on the screen, it tells you exactly what it is. So if I press this, you can see that's driving assistance. Touch that so slightly. I'm not even pressing it, I'm just touching it. Lane departure warning stuff, Rolls-Royce sound, journey data, your driver settings, and so on. If we look at the Rolls-Royce sound, so this I turned off completely myself because I just like the serenity of not hearing that fake electric noise on the outside. So you can long press it to change what that would actually do. So it's entirely up to you. And then if you go to driver settings, again, only option you really have is if you go to driver, train, and chassis, is that Rolls-Royce sound and stability control, etc. It doesn't give you any extra things like change the sport mode or anything like that. But if you went for the black badge version, which is faster than this one, then you get an infinity button on the steering, which would be on the steering, which allows you to give you a bit of a boost, which gives you more horsepower in total, basically. But moving back down here, we got your control again for ventilation, so climate control rather. So heated seat buttons are there, heated steering. You can change from soft to medium to high, entirely up to you. And then you got this rotary dial here, which is, it's so satisfying to control. If you like numbers, I'm sorry about that because it won't tell you any numbers there. Just, you can dial it until you feel just about right. You feel comfortable. And then here we've got 2 bottle holders or cup holders. You can just hide that away as well using that little slide there. You can push it to reveal. And then here is some more control. So you got your camera, you got your parking sensors or settings or assistance. And then you got options, navigation and stuff. Like you can rotate this. You can push to the side, to the right, up and down to move things around. And then you got your door control buttons there. So that's for the left side. This is for the right side to close the door if they're already open. And then here there's another gap here, which I usually just pop the key in there. And then what you can do is hide that away as well. So if you don't want to reveal what's in there. And then underneath the armrest is where you'd see your 2 USB-C ports and just area to store things like your keys and wallet or whatever you want to store in there. So we just close that back up. In front of the driver, the premium level goes on again. So you see the wood material here that's used. It's nice leather material. You can either customize this or spec it to have thicker steering as well, which I find interesting. Overall, it's very minimal in terms of the buttons available. So you have buttons here to control your adaptive cruise control system. And on the side is your media control. So phone call system, audio and stuff like that. And then over here for the digital instrument cluster, we have the speed dial there. But interestingly, it doesn't really give you any numbers all around here. It just shows you the speed as you're driving, where that digital number is. And then you got your electric power consumption information over there for like regen and stuff like that. And then over here is battery level information and the range. So I've got 247 miles left right now with, I'm not sure how many percentage that would be because it doesn't really say the number exactly on that. But you can sort of gauge what's going on as you're driving. And then you got your stalks here. So you get your lighting here for indicator. You get your gear shifter here, which has a different finishing on the stalk. But you can also spec that to have leather finishing, for example, if you prefer. And then you got your B mode. This supports energy recuperation. So with B mode, it just intensify almost one pedal driving when you press that, which is pretty cool. Underneath that, what you can't see right now is the stalk for the wiper. So again, sometimes I confuse them when I'm driving, but once you get used to it, you get used to it. The steering column is electronically controlled, so you can use a little toggle here to move it up and down or backwards and forwards as you wish to do so. And then over on the door side, you can set your sit-in memory if you wish to do so. 1 and 2 is there. And then also, I love this little toggle here to control the mirrors. It's just so snazzy and just sexy. It's very nice over here. Okay, let's take this thing for a drive and talk about the driving experience. And what an experience this is, driving the Rolls-Royce Spectre. It's probably one of the quietest cars I've ever been in, besides maybe the Range Rover Sports, the new one. They're very quiet because they have all the noise cancellation inside. But this one has all sorts of insulation in here to make sure that it's just as quiet as it can be. In fact, the only time I notice any other noise would be when I'm on the motorway and the wind hits those big mirrors. But even then, it's ever so subtle that it's not that noticeable. It's incredible. And I've never been on a magic carpet. I don't know about you, but this also rides like if I was to go on a magic carpet, this is what I imagine it to be like. Everything has been designed to be as premium as it can be. Even the indicator sound just sounds so good. There's like the sort of sound that just sounds very good. The click is so satisfying. And I might sound like I'm just praising this car so much, but you have to sit in it and experience that to see exactly what I'm talking about. And as we're driving here, it's just nice and quiet. I can't stress enough how quiet this is on the road. Even when you're hitting this tiny little speed bumps here and there, it's very minimal compared to your everyday car or other luxury cars out there. It's just so quiet. Let's talk about some numbers though. This is 580 horsepower, 900 newton meters of torque, which is split between the front and back. And also 0 to 60 is 4.4 seconds. And it's fast. For such a big car that weighs just under 3 tons, I think it's excellent to be able to handle that level of speed is good. And the brake is so good as well. One of the things I love about this is when I start to do active cruise control on here, you put it on and the steering just does this thing, and you can just use one finger and just relax yourself in the serenity of what the car is able to do. And the steering as well, it's light, so it's not too heavy, but also still engaging and direct, which is amazing. This is all-wheel drive, so things like cornering and stuff like that, it just handles it with no issues at all. It just glides on a straight, and when you need to start turning, twisting and turning, you got those anti-roll bars that's doing their jobs as well. And then this has air suspension, so an adaptive air suspension. So that way it kind of reads the road. It knows what it's doing, it knows what's ahead, and it can adjust accordingly. So that way you just feel nice and comfortable in the car. This is definitely a car that you can be driven in and you can drive as well and still enjoy the experience to the fullest. Anything that I have to say, that any qualms I had would be to do with the visibility, because you have this big pillar here, that big mirror. So and the big bonnet as well. It's a wide car, it's a big car. So when you're gonna drive it around places like London, you have to be extra careful. You have to look more than twice to make sure the road's clear, that you're not missing anything. Nothing's updated whilst you look in the other direction. So that's the only thing I'd say. So this area here, for example, if I'm to turn right, I'm having to look just a bit more, just to make sure that I'm not gonna hit anything or get into any accidents. And also, driving in London, it's fine in most places, but if you ever live in those areas where you have those tiny little roads, that narrow roads when you're approaching a bridge, for example, around Chelsea, for example, I think it's Battersea Bridge actually, you can't go through that gap without stressing, because it's such a narrow gap that it just doesn't work. So that's something you have to worry about as well. And when you're going through those tunnels in London as well, those narrow tunnels, you kind of have to just make sure that you're okay. But aside of that though, I think it's excellent. The driving experience is one of the best I've had in a car. It's nice and smooth, it's quiet, handling is surprisingly good, it's fast as well, so it's got the power and performance when you need it. It's got plenty of torque as well that will actually push you to the seat for, again, such a hefty car. So I think it's just magical in what they've done here, the dynamics, the energy, you know. In terms of range, Rolls-Royce I've quoted around 300 miles, well, maybe 350 there or so, give or take. But I've been getting around 260 miles on a full charge, which isn't too bad when considering how big and hefty this car is. But also, there's a stat that says people that own Rolls-Royces, they usually have on average 7 cars anyway, which means this is probably going to be a weekend car, which means they don't need long range to drive this around. And also, they'll have a charger at home, which means they can just charge it overnight and they're good to go. But I think overall though, great car. I think it's a really, really good package overall. They've done really well to have good dynamics. You know, they've done really well to make it as premium as can be, and just a really good experience in the cabin. So I think it ticks so many boxes. It's not perfect, but it's a great car. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you have any questions, drop them there as well. I hope you've enjoyed this. And yeah, I'm just gonna crank the AC back on because I am boiling. But yeah, because I've had to turn it off for the audio. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.